What was it like to be back on the bridge, and what was it like for you, Alice, to be on the bridge for the first time?
Why don't you take it?
How kind, sir. It was a great honor to be on the bridge for the first time. In this film, JJ, which I believe was different to the first film, built the entire Enterprise on the soundstage, so it was all interlinking. So you really were able to sort of submerge yourself into the future, as it were. And then, of course, I fell over when I first walked onto the Enterprise, which was nothing short of humiliating. And I believe, Zach, you laughed, didn't you?
I'm not sure I remember that, Alice.
Oh, how kind. He's a gentleman. It was a great honor.
It was a very surreal thing to be back on the set with these awesome actors and some awesome new ones. We had a great time. It was a very special experience making the first film in 2009, and to be back with these people again, it felt like jumping back in time a little bit. And we knew the challenge was to make a bigger movie and a better movie, and to do it with these people was a huge challenge and also the greatest fun I've ever had.
Chris and Zach, how did you guys feel?
It's a lot of fun when you get to make a movie with people that you really enjoy being around, and that's not always the case. And I think what JJ has done so well is cast a group that gets along off screen as well as we do, I think, on screen, and that kind of ineffable quality hopefully translates up there. And it's quite something. The first 2 weeks we were shooting on the bridge, and it had been 4 years since we'd filmed. So, and Scott Chambliss, who's our production designer, designed this incredible, as Alice talked about, this incredible set, and it felt like the make-believe was coming alive. It was very exciting.
Yes, I concur with all of my fellow compatriots' assessments of returning to the bridge, although I do have the distinct responsibility to alter my physical appearance for the duration of the filming. So for me, it's always an added reminder of what I'm working on in that particular time, and there's some amount of discomfort that goes along with altering my appearance to that degree, but it also helps me in many ways inform the character and the physicality of the character. So being back with these people who I love and respect so much is probably the thing that I remember most about returning.
Thank you. What about you, Zoe and Simon?
It was awesome. Just I forget translation. Slow delay. It was very beautiful. I think it felt in the beginning when we were rehearsing that it was almost the fact that for 4 years we were probably nagging JJ so much to do a second installment of Star Trek that he finally just gave up and just said, all right, we're going to do it. And then we read the script and it's absolutely amazing, and you have a feeling it's going to supersede the first one. And then to have the privilege as an artist to be able to come back and work with colleagues that have become your friends, and you've sustained those friendships for this long. And so there's no breaking of the ice. You go right into it, and you feel very, very safe to experiment and to be yourself. I think it's one of the most beautiful gifts that we can ever be given in what we do.
I didn't like it. It's the last thing I wanted to do. No, it was great. It was like putting on a pair of comfortable shoes. You know, as you step into an environment you know well, and you just, it's very easy. It's like stepping into Grandma's parlor. So I know this. I feel safe here. So it was great, and I love these guys so much. They're my besties. So it was wonderful.
Thank you. Questions from the floor. The gentleman in the third row right here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stefan Kuhmer from Radio Energy. I have more of a statement than a question, and pardon my French. I'm so angry with this movie. I want to punch it in the fucking face, because after 132 minutes, it's over.
Oh, good.
It's fucking awesome.
We were so scared.
I know.
Thank God it went there. Thank you so much.
My ears got really
how long?
hot.
But there's a question there. How long was the first cut? How hard was it for you to trim it down?
Ultimately, thank you so much for that. The first cut was not too long. I think the first cut was like 2 hours and 30 some minutes or 40 minutes. It really was not that long, and I wanted it to be just about 2 hours because I often feel that movies lately seem to go on just a little bit longer than I wish they would. And I thought, oh, well, I could fix that for this movie and make it shorter. So we tried to keep it, a decent length, not too long. But there were a handful of scenes that we ended up cutting. And it's always a weird thing because on the day you're shooting it, you think, well, the movie needs this scene. Of course, it absolutely needs to be there. And then you look at the cut and you realize, oh, I can take out that and we can take out that. And so we ended up removing a number of scenes that, per usual. But it wasn't a crazy long first cut. But thank you very much for scaring us.
Question over there from that gentleman.
Stefanos Tsoukas, cinematograph to Mr. Abrams. Can you talk a little bit about Michael Giacchino's music and will he be scoring Star Wars 2 or not?
Michael Giacchino is an incredible composer who I was lucky enough to begin working with on Alias. He was doing video game soundtracks, and we started working together then and have done a number of films and television series together since. He is brilliant, and it's very easy for me to say to him, looking at a scene, okay, this scene needs to be about the conflict between these characters. It's got to be hopeful, but you also have to feel that there's a tension still. And, I can say all these ridiculous things, and he has to listen and say, okay, and then go off and come back and present music that invariably not only does that, but so much more. He's truly one of the most influential members of our crew, and I think this score, he just really outdid himself, especially with the score for Benedict's character. I think that suite that he wrote was just brilliant. And again, for Star Wars, it's very early days to know, but I believe that going forward, that John Williams would be doing that film because apparently he was there long before I was.
Gentleman right here in the first row.
First of all, thank you for this movie. I really, really liked it. I really liked the drive of it. And I hope there will be more movies like this with all of you. But before I know you are going to attempt the next big challenge, Star Wars movies, how are you going to deal, or how are you dealing with this enormous pressure of this millions of fans, Star Trek fans and Star Wars fans? And what kind of experiences will help you dealing with Star Wars?
Well, thank you for your kind words. The focus for us right now, obviously, having just finished this movie, is getting this one out to the public. And I think that, that there are certain fans of Star Trek, and I am grateful to all of them and respect all of them. We would never be doing this if there weren't an initial fan base. Having said that, we made this movie for moviegoers, not just for Star Trek fans. What's been nice, because we did the same with the first film, is that most fans really did embrace what we did. But there will always be those diehard fans who feel like, what I love is the original, and that's it. And so anything that is not like that, I don't want to get behind. And I, of course, respect that, and I wish we could make it for everyone, but we can only make the movie that we make, that we believe in. So I'm very grateful to the fans who have appreciated going boldly where no one's gone before in what we've tried to do. And we, of course, tried to honor the spirit of the show that they love, but also make a movie for people who want a rousing adventure, not just to see the old version from nearly 50 years ago. And in terms of Star Wars, I feel like I'm trying not to look at it from the outside in, and everything is up for grabs, including, of course, who will be the composer of the movie. Nothing is set in stone yet, so we're just starting that process. But I look forward to coming back to Berlin and having that conversation when the time is right.
Zach, over here to your left. You spoke about the physical change of Spock, the way that you have to change for the role. He seems to be the center of attention in this one as well, emotionally. Can you talk us a little bit through the relationship between Spock and Kirk and Spock and Uhura?
Sure. In terms of Spock and Kirk, I think they are characters that exist on opposite ends of a spectrum of perspective. And I think each of them has a very fixed point of view Spock's, of course, being very logical and cool-headed, and Kirk's being very emotional, instinctive, and hot-blooded sometimes. And I think this film in particular, and the journey that the two characters take in its course, are about each of them learning from the other and gaining from the perspective that the other has to offer, and having to face in themselves points of real challenge in order to be the fullest versions of who they can be, and ultimately in order to save one another and help triumph against a tremendous force of evil. And I think Spock and Uhura in this film, it was such a surprise for audiences in the first movie to be faced with the fact of that relationship, and I think in this one, they've done such a great job of taking us in yet another unexpected direction where the convergence of work and personal relationships actually provide more conflict than I think either of these characters would ever have expected, and certainly than either of them are comfortable with in the environment, which can be humorous but also then resolves in what I'm grateful for is a pretty harmonious way in the end. So yeah, there's a lot of upheaval in this film, and all of us have to deal with it in our own unique ways.
Zoe, you spoke about that very emotional moment, basically when Spock and Uhura talk to each other on the ship. Can you explain that, because you were very, energetic about it during the interview, talking about it, that it was almost crashing. You had to fight off the Klingons, and on the other hand, you had to, have that conversation with Spock about a very emotional state of mind.
Like in front of your boss too. You're the captain is like in between us, and we're getting shot at, and I want him to commit to more.
Good timing.
It feels like a typical contemporary love story. That's the one thing that is great about working with someone like JJ and his team of writers, is that you're going to be stepping into shoes of human beings, that whether they're superhuman or they're fighting battles or they punch in the galaxy and then they go to work, they're still being challenged with the everyday issues of heart and I don't know, politics and self-discovery. So the story and the journey between Spock and Uhura is in my opinion, is I think she's learning now the kind of person that he is, and she's encouraging him to cater to his human side, to his human half, and there's a conflict there because he doesn't want to be compromised, because he feels that if he's compromised he'll be weak, and then a lot of people will suffer. And she needs to learn to just understand his Vulcan side, that she's with a man that has a duty before anything else, and but she needs to embrace and accept that when he tells her that she's important to him, that she is. That's really hard for us ladies. We always want more.
Thank you.
So that's the conflict, and I like the way the scene that in which JJ presented us to sort of have it out, which it's not just us sitting down and having a cup of tea. It's our lives are in danger, and right now we're are they gonna kiss and make out? Is she gonna get up and I don't know, throw him out of the ship? It's just, you don't know. But it's really the levity a situation so intense provides is very humorous.
Thanks. Gentleman over there.
This is for Kino Bayerischer Rundfunk. To all the cast, help us a little bit understand JJ, which for me it's a phenomenon, because he started with 8 years filmmaking. And how is he? How is he working? How is he on set, this man?
I'm going to leave.
Cover your ears.
Like that.
Let me start. I didn't say anything. The thing with JJ is that I think a film crew is always operates from the head down, and the head of the body politic is invariably the director, and JJ really does lead from the top, and his energy and his enthusiasm, which is boundless, infuses all of us and inspires us to bring our absolute A game on every single day. And that's entirely a testament to his love of cinema, his love of the arts, his love of storytelling, his love of the whole package. And it's very hard not to get enthused, even on your most tiredest day. JJ famously says energy, energy before he says action, and it kind of winds us up to this sort of state of performance. I can't think of another word to finish that.
Are you done?
I was going to say performance anxiety, but that was a Freudian slip. You go.
I also think such a mark of a true, profound leader is surrounding oneself by with people where there exists an implicit trust and such a profound respect. I think those are the two things: trust, respect, and then also humor that categorize him above anybody else that I've worked with, and I think are the mark of a true leader, authentic, powerful leader, because it does all come to him, but he doesn't ever take that lightly or without the contributions of the people that he surrounds himself with too.
All right, evermore. I think there are often times on set where JJ will he'll step outside of the experience and say, God, you know how lucky we are to get to do what we get to do. And to have someone in such a powerful position with such opportunity and the luxury of what he gets to do, be able to have that kind of humility in the face of all that responsibility, I think is a wonderful thing. And I think too important to note is that his love for what he does and the love for the magic of cinema is really, really important. And a JJ film experience isn't just the filming of it, it's also what we're doing now and the fun and the magic of what we get to do now and then to share it with you all. And it doesn't just end with the end of filmmaking, it's the protection of that experience. Like I remember as a kid, standing in line to see E.T. at Grauman's Chinese, and he wants to, in a time when before we all knew about special effects and I often think about JJ's protecting that experience for that young kid walking into the theater. So when they walk in and the lights go down, it's a real true, it's that true cinematic experience that I think nowadays, just with the media and with technology and with everybody knowing everything about filmmaking, is not. It's rare.
I mean, I obviously agree with everyone because he is rather a masterful leader. I think the thing about being a leader is to lead by example, because you can sort of ask people to behave in a certain way, but unless you're demonstrating it yourself, then it's very hard to expect it. And, some days on a film set, you work 18 out of 24 hours, and the inclination is to get tired. And you see JJ, who's probably working another 3 after that, not tired. And you can't really afford to be tired yourself. And so for me, that was the most inspirational part, is his tireless search for the best level of entertainment you could give an audience, which in turn demonstrates a great respect for the audience, which I think is potentially why his films are so enjoyable and well received, is because there is a tendency in the business of money to maybe disrespect the audience. And I think JJ doesn't do that.
I'm the last one. He's your friend. Sorry, I know, but it's awkward. He's your friend. So you meet him first as a friend, and then you go to set, and he's leading by example. So you follow his lead, but at the end of the day, he will always be your boss-ish, your director, but if you need him, he's right there as a person, and that's very important, and it makes you feel very safe that the same JJ that you said goodbye to the night before is the same JJ that's going to be receiving you the next morning. And to have that level of consistency is so comforting.
To temper that, his personal hygiene is atrocious. It swings and roundabouts, you know what I mean?
I just want to say thank you to all of you. It was very sweet and very embarrassing, but wonderful to hear. Thank you.
There's a question from the gentleman right here in the second row.
Hi, I'm Pavis. Congratulations to the movie. You all did a very great job. My question goes to Chris and Zachary. So you have so many physical action scenes. So what was, for you, the hardest day on set? Was there any special day that was really, really tough, where you say maybe at the end, oh my God, I want to die, or anything else? Really hard day.
I remember having to show up to work the morning after the Academy Awards which I was fortunate enough to attend that year because of a film that I worked on as a producer, and having to fight Benedict for 15 hours that morning after what was a pretty significant party wasn't the most pleasant experience that I've had, having to roll myself around the trash shuttle, as it were, the trash barge. But that sequence, which probably took all told about 11 or 12 days to shoot, was the most exciting part of the experience for me physically. So I was able to chalk it up and take one for the team that day.
I think for Kirk, just being that he always gets the crap kicked out of him, I think at every turn, which I kind of enjoy about Jim Kirk in a way. I think it's kind of, it's endearing, hopefully. I guess maybe the one scene where I try to pummel Harrison on Kronos, and he's, Kirk's exhausted and he's going after him. He's trying everything to hurt this man who is invincible. That was a hard day. That was a hard day. A lot of fun though. I enjoy that because that also was a moment too for, I think, Kirk, where he gets to, it's really the only time, in fact, that he gets to come face to face physically with someone who's hurt him so deeply emotionally, and to see him at the bottom of the barrel try with all of his might to inflict just a modicum of the pain that he's experienced. I enjoy that about the character I get to play, and just wish for a second JJ had allowed John Harrison to feel some pain.
Question from the lady on the left-hand side over here.
Hello, Franziska from Hamburg. Question to Zoe. How good is your Klingonian in real?
Answering Klingon.
I think it's good. I'll let you be the judge when you see it. It was definitely fun. For some reason, there's just something about like me being able to memorize and learn a fictional language quicker than I can learn my lines. That's the way I guess my brain works. But it was tons of fun, and we had somebody there that was I think the creator. We worked with the person that conceived the language.
So like a Klingon linguist.
Yes, a Klingon linguist, and he was always there to correct us and for us to get the right pronunciation, and so it was fun. It was tons of fun. Mm-hmm.
Gentleman right here, and then over there.
It's me again. Oh, Chris and Simon sitting there pretending to be nice guys. Why don't you tell the truth for once and let everybody know about that little prank you played on everybody on the set at the nuclear fusion plant?
Take it away. I try to make this funny, and I fail every time, but it was very funny.
It started because Chris and I were in makeup, and I casually said to Chris, we were filming in a facility called NIF in Northern California, which is where they're trying to create nuclear fusion. They're essentially trying to create a small planet that will power the Earth, and they're very confident they're going to achieve this. And Bruno, who was the chief there, said 6 months to 5 years before we have to give up reliance on fossil fuels, which was mind-blowing to all of us. So we're working in a fairly dangerous facility, and I casually said to Chris, have you got your neutron cream on? Which was, it will protect you from the ambient radiation in the air, which will give you sunburn. And I kept him going for about half an hour.
No, you like 5 minutes.
Was it 5 minutes?
No.
And then I said, because he was going to turn into a lizard. And then we thought, let's do this to Anton. So we kept Anton going with the neutron cream. We told the makeup department, who started making up little pots of neutron cream that you had to put on.
You've never seen a film crew coalesce so quickly around an idea.
We told Tommy, the first AD, that we had to do exercises between takes like this to shake out all the ions from our fingers. So by the time Zach and Zoe came on set, we had this elaborate joke working where we had pots of...
and everything, and I thought it was my last day at work on the movie, and I thought, well, everybody's acting funny. I must be getting a pony. JJ probably has a pony as my going away present, because everybody's acting really weird. and then I wasn't a pony.
And poor JJ had to field all these questions from actors coming up to him asking these very serious characters.
With dots on their
Every day
face.
another-
Like dots of sunscreen on their face.
Every day another actor would show up, and they would make them believe that you needed to wear neutron cream to survive the set.
Also is how we wear the neutron cream in dots.
Yes, there were these dots. So that I'd have Zoe and Anton and then Benedict Cumberbatch coming up to me with these white dots in their face saying, so about this scene, I want to talk about it. And I'm not very good at not laughing. And I just had to sit there and I felt so guilty because these are people I love and they had been, and then
So then finally with Benedict, so that was amping up every time. So then Benedict was the next one to show up.
Yeah, we got Benedict really well.
So we had the idea to have Benedict sign a release
No,
form.
but the punchline was that Karl Urban and John Cho show up, and they had them do a public service announcement about neutron cream, which we actually have on video. And it began with the line, Karl saying, "Hi, I'm actor Karl Urban," and then John saying, "And I'm John Cho." And it was this thing where they basically had to explain how important neutron cream was. And then on the cue cards at the end, it said, "This is all a joke," basically. And they realized they were being made fun of in front of the entire group. So.
It was very elaborate. By the end, it was insanely complex, but joyous to behold.
Well, so complex that was our wrap gift. All of a sudden, you get something in the mail from Bad Robot, and you open it, and it's neutron cream.
A little tub of neutron cream. The funniest moment, one of the funniest moments, was seeing Zach approach Bruno, who was the team leader at NIF, to ask him about what's it like putting on neutron cream every day, because it must be a bit of a bind. The whole crew just stopped and looked at Zach. And Zach turned around and just saw us all beaming at him. It was wonderful.
I thought the Benedict release form was...
The release form was pretty fun. And so much of it is actually caught on video that maybe it'll be its own special feature on the DVD, right?
I hope not.
But please remember to wear it.
Sorry.
If you do visit NIF, which is in Northern California, which is an amazing facility, please wear your neutron cream.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have only time for 2 more questions.
To Mr. Abrams again, why didn't you use a higher frame rate and 3D together?
I may just be old-fashioned, but I just love 24-frame film and 2D. That's my favorite thing. I do appreciate 3D now more than I did. I did not want to do it in 3D. I wasn't a huge fan of it. The studio really wanted to because they had an economic model that they cared about. But they said, look, explore it. Let's just convert some scenes from the first film you did. We did that, and they looked really cool. And we worked with this guy, Corey Turner, who's an amazing stereographer, who had done a lot of films and had learned a lot and wanted to try a couple new things. So we started working on that, and it actually ended up being amazing. And I knew we were going to get to shoot the movie in IMAX, which is about a quarter of the film in IMAX, which is a much bigger negative than typical 35. And that was exciting to me. So I thought, you know what? Let's add this to the challenge and shoot the movie in 2D. I'll make the best version I can in 2D, but we can do a 3D version that augments the movie. And if there's ever a movie that should be done in 3D, it makes perfect sense that Star Trek Into Darkness is it. The opportunities for the visual set pieces, the stunts, the action, it just felt like the perfect kind of movie for it. The high frame rate thing, frankly, and while I'm sure it has every chance of catching on and being the greatest thing ever, to me, it looks like a soap opera. It looks like videotape. I can't watch it and get as excited as I can about 24 frames. That's not to say it won't become the norm, but and certainly there's 60 frames and 48 frames, but I don't know if this is psychologically true or not, but there's something about the 24 frames that even though I'm sure technically it's not as smooth and there's motion blur, etc., there's something about the lack of information that works for me because it makes me, interpolate sort of the frames I'm seeing, meaning I'm filling in the blanks. I get involved. It feels more real. Somehow the high frame rate is so much information. It's almost like exposition in a story where it's sort of it's pushing me away as opposed to drawing me in. And somehow maybe it's just because I'm accustomed to it. The 24 rate feels better to me. But again, we'll see what happens over the course of time. But so far, I haven't seen the higher frame rate version that makes me a fan.
Last question from the gentleman right here.
I have a question for Mr. Pegg. which would have made for a great first question for the press conference, but let's pretend we travel all back in time, and nice to see you, a great movie and all. No, Mr. Peck, I was pleasantly surprised that your character got a lot to do in this film, not only screen time wise, but also in terms of narrative and being a bit of the moral center of the crew in a weird sort of way. Was that like a first draft kind of idea, or did that evolve over, I don't know, when you were start shooting or something?
No, when I got the script, I read it in a hotel room in New York, and that was what I read, was that arc. I heard from JJ and the guys a couple of times, because they were excited about the writing process, and this is going to be fun. And I read it, and it was. I remember actually leaping off my sofa that I was sat on I got the script, and I went up to my room, and I was with a friend. I said, I'm going to read the first page of this. I'm going to come down. We'll go do some Christmas shopping. I phoned him 5 minutes later, and I'm not coming down. And I sat and I read it cover to cover, and was just leaping around the room screaming, I'm a Star Trek fan, and to read it off the page was so exciting, not just for Scotty, but for every character and the new characters. And I think the whole thing was very much intact from the start, so all I had to do was come in and say the lines in a Scottish accent. So and it was enormous fun. It was great I love the fact that we were all together from the off in this one. In the first film, you gradually meet us all, and we all get the room to be introduced in our own ways, but that meant spreading that out across the movie. In this one, we're all together. We're a family from the beginning, and we hit the ground running, and it was so much fun to spend 5 months with these people. And to consolidate what we built with the first film. So, I'm lucky to be part of this.
Vielen Dank, meine Damen und Herren, für Ihre Fragen. Thank you so much, Simon, Zoe, Zach, JJ, Chris, and Alice, for being in Berlin. Enjoy the premiere tonight, and all the very best.
Thank
Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.